You might be surprised. We go to circuses, but not for fun. We go there with one purpose. We observe. We search. Because every circus has animals, but the most terrifying beasts aren't in cages. To the audience, trainers are performers, heroes of the arena. To us, they are executioners. These are people who break spines, tighten chains, just enough so the animal can move but not escape. People who call fear art. But we know the truth. We see when an animal's spirit is broken, its mind destroyed, when it lifts its paw, not out of desire, but out of fear of pain, when its eyes are empty. We see who did this to them, and we do not forget. I am the right hand of the impresario. He is my mentor, my idol. He is not just a man. He is a judge. Few have heard the name impresario, but those who have encountered him never forget. The impresario does this, a snap, and the master of the whip becomes its victim. I met him on the street. The crowd was slowly moving through Times Square. People were smiling, taking pictures, enjoying the evening. But I saw only him, a man with an eagle. He stood by the Central Park fountain, holding a huge bird, enticing passers-by. Photo with the royal bird folks, only $10. Anyone interested? People came up, gave money, laughed. When someone agreed, the animal abuser placed the bird on a customer's arm, and then sharply hit the bird on the back, a blow, and the eagle spread its wings, reflexively, instinctively. People gasped in admiration. Cameras clicked. But I saw fear in the bird's eyes. It couldn't fly away. The chain on its leg wouldn't allow it. I couldn't take it anymore. "What are you doing?" I said loudly, stepping closer. He didn't even look at me. "Miss, you're interfering with my work." I stepped closer. "You're hitting him." He laughed, shrugged. "It's business, sweetheart. Now get out of here." I felt anger boiling inside me. "Don't give him any money." I turned to the crowd. "Do you understand that he's torturing this bird?" People hesitated. Some stepped back. The abuser turned pale. "Are you crazy? I'll call the police." "Call them," I shouted. "Let them see this chain. Let them see you, animal abuser." He hissed, came closer, his face twisted with rage. "Get out of here." I didn't leave. He raised his hand, as if to hit me. But at that moment, someone stopped his hand. The abuser flinched and turned around. Next to him stood a man, black coat, dark eyes, a smooth, measured voice. "Calm down, my friend. Control yourself, please." The abuser tensed. "Who the hell are you?" The man smiled. "You're someone who likes to put on a show. So do I. And I have a proposal for you." The abuser became wary. "What kind of proposal?" "I'd like to arrange a private performance for my children tonight. Good audience, good money. Will that work for you?" I looked at him in shock. "Are you serious?" I blurted out. He looked at me, absolutely calmly. The abuser thought for a moment, then nodded. "How much do you pay?" The man took bills from his pocket, handed them over. "Here's your advance, the rest tonight." The abuser finally relaxed. "Now that's more like it. Where do we meet?" The man leaned closer, whispered the address. The abuser nodded with satisfaction. I watched all this with anger. How could he? How could he support that bastard? I turned and left, clenching my fists. He caught up with me 5 minutes later. I felt him walking beside me, softly, without tension. "Are you upset?" I clenched my teeth. "You paid that creep." "I lured him," he said. I turned to the impresario. He sits in the crowd like an ordinary spectator, a slight half smile on his face. Is he ready? I ask. The impresario doesn't answer right away. He likes to watch. I wait. The whip cracks. The tiger tucks its tail and, with its last strength, bows. The impresario turns to me and says, "Yes, he's ready." And I smile. Tonight, a new show will begin. At night, we return to the circus. No noise. We know where he lives, know his routine. We know how he's used to controlling animals, but tonight he'll find himself in a cage. A snap somewhere in the darkness. A spotlight flashes. The trainer slowly comes to his senses. His head is buzzing. His hands are numb. His throat is dry. He wants to move, but can't. Something pulls him down. Chains. He's in chains. His eyes dart around, trying to see where he is, and then he understands. He's in the arena, but this isn't the circus he knows. This is a circus that isn't on any map. This place exists outside of time and space. No posters, no ads, no address. Yet people come here, in a narrow circle. They call it the Theater of Justice. Here, there are no stuffed animals, no cotton candy, no smiles, only a stage lit by spotlights and spectators hidden in the darkness. Who are they? Shelter owners, activists, animal rights defenders, people who have fought for years for those who cannot speak, but whom the law has betrayed. Here, there are no lawyers, no appeals. Here, there is only truth, and the truth begins right now. From the darkness, he appears, a dark coat, gloves, the impresario. He slowly steps to the center of the arena, where the trainer kneels, trembling. The trainer's gaze darts around, but he can't see the audience. They are hidden in the darkness, watching. The impresario raises his hands like a conductor before a symphony. Ladies and gentlemen, his voice is smooth, penetrating. Today we have a special guest, a man who dedicated his life to the art of training. He pauses, glancing at the figure in the center of the arena. But he forgot one important rule. I wonder how quickly he'll remember. The trainer breathes heavily, clenching his fists. The rule of the circus is, if the animal is hungry, it is obedient. The impresario slowly walks past, stopping behind the trainer. Our animal hasn't been fed 3 days. The purity of the show. We do everything by the canons of true circus training. A hungry animal is an obedient animal. The hall falls silent, listening to his words. The trainer jerks, lifts his head sharply. "You're sick," he screams, his voice breaking. "You're criminals, monsters. What are you doing here?" The impresario smiles. "Criminals? Monsters?" He slowly circles him, looking down. And what were you when you drove hungry animals into the arena and forced them to obey your commands for a piece of meat? The trainer breathes raggedly, looking at them with hatred. It's different. It's the circus. It's tradition. The impresario stops and tilts his head. Tradition, you say? He turns to me. Does fear have traditions? I think he'll find the answer right now. I reply with a smirk. The trainer explodes in a scream. You're just inhuman. A snap, I swing, and the whip strikes his shoulder loud and sharp. He gasps, eyes filling with horror. The impresario leans closer. You spoke without permission. He touches the trainer's chin with the tip of the whip. And growling without a command, for us as for you, there's always one method, the whip. You know that. I don't need to teach you, my friend. The show has begun. Trick number 1. Jump through the hoops. Silence all around. The impresario takes a slow step forward, running his fingers along the whip's handle. We've removed the chains for convenience. Now, our subject has a shock collar, and he knows that any attempt to escape means pain, and for disobedience, the whip. Everything is fair. The trainer is still on his knees, his shoulders trembling with tension. Stand up, the impresario commands. But the trainer doesn't move. The impresario sighs patiently. You know what the next trick will be. He raises his hand, and in the center of the stage, a ring of fire flares up. Flames flicker along the edge of the hoop. Reflections of fire in the trainer's dilated pupils. The trainer looks at the ring, then at the impresario, and suddenly his face twists with rage. You're sick. You're just sadists. You should be put in a circus yourselves, you monsters, he screams, his voice trembling. A snap. The whip strikes the floor, echoing dully around the arena. The trainer falls silent for a second, then screams even louder. I'm not an animal. Do you hear me? Not an animal. The impresario slowly tilts his head as if pondering his words. Not an animal. His voice is curious. Then what are you if not an animal? Maybe you're a god or some special form of life. He takes another step forward. Now you're in their place, the place of the animals you tormented. The trainer shakes his head, his breathing ragged. No, I won't do it. The impresario doesn't rush to answer. Instead, he makes a slight gesture, and metal constructions are brought onto the stage. The trainer looks at the assistants, people in masks. He's terrified and confused. He understands perfectly what's happening. When they put up barriers on the sides, his lips begin to tremble. But when the spikes are set behind him, his face turns white as a sheet. No, 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 don't. He starts to truly panic. The impresario smiles gently. You know what happens to an animal that refuses to obey a command? The trainer breathes heavily. He knows what this trick is. So, remember what you did with lions when they didn't want to jump through the ring? The impresario asks. Silence in response. The trainer doesn't answer. The impresario comes closer, his voice soft, almost caring. Remember what you did with lions? The trainer trembles, but shakes his head. I didn't do anything. The impresario patiently raises his hand. You're forgetting, my friend. Let me remind you. A snap. The whip strikes his back, and his body jerks reflexively in surprise. The trainer jumps back onto the spikes. A dull cry of pain. The metal digs into his skin. The trainer clutches at the air, as if trying to grab onto something. God, help me. Let me go, he squeals, his voice breaking into a shriek. He can't step to the side. There are barriers. He can't stay in place. The spikes dig deeper. The fire in front of him flickers, already heating the air. The impresario watches him carefully, almost with admiration. So, what do you think? Did the lions want to do this? The trainer sobs. Please, let me go, he begs. The impresario continues. But you didn't listen to them, did you? Didn't listen when they roared in pain? Didn't listen when their skin was burning? So why should I listen to you? The trainer looks at him in despair. The impresario spreads his hands. The choice, my friend, is always yours. But the lions had no choice. A snap. The whip strikes again. The trainer's body jerks forward. For a second, his silhouette disappears into the flames. He flies through the ring and collapses onto the arena floor, breathing heavily. Stunned, the crowd watches in complete silence. I hear his ragged, hoarse breathing, and then applause. The impresario claps. Good boy. The trainer glares at him with hatred. The impresario turns to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed classic circus training. He spreads his arms wide, as if presenting a great discovery to the audience. Now tell me, dear spectators, do lions in the circus jump through flaming hoops for pleasure or out of fear of pain? I step onto the stage and give a speech. The flaming hoop is the audience's favorite trick. The animal jumps into the fire, The crowd applauds. Beautiful, impressive. But let me tell you how this trick really works. In nature, no animal ever willingly jumps into fire. Fire means fear, the instinct for self-preservation. To force a lion, tiger, or bear to jump through a burning ring, you must first break it, psychologically, physically, slowly, and cruelly. Do you know how it's done? First, the animal is placed in front of the ring, and behind it, pain of any kind, the whip, electric shock, spikes, blows. Then they light the fire. The animal feels the flames and wants to back away, but it can't. Behind it is pain, spikes, the whip, electric shock, or worse. So it's forced to jump forward, not because it wants to, but because it's terrified to stay where it is. After a few such rehearsals, the behavior is fixed. Now it jumps not because of the fire, but on command, automatically, like a robot, like an animal with empty eyes. That's how the circus with animals works. It's captivity, a choice without a choice. I finished my speech, and then came a hollow, ragged echo. Applause. People didn't clap out of admiration, not out of pleasure. It was a gesture of approval. The impresario bowed slightly. He turned to the trainer, lying on the floor, gasping for air. And now, dear spectators, the impresario raised his hand. It's time for the next trick. While the arena is being prepared for the next act, just know, on Boost, you'll find more than 10 chilling stories that aren't on YouTube. The link, as always, is in the description. If you dare, I'll be waiting for you there. Now, let's continue, because the impresario doesn't like to wait. Trick number 2. The dance. He was still breathing heavily after jumping through the ring, wet hair sticking to his forehead, his breath ragged like a hunted animal. He didn't know things were about to get worse. The impresario approached him, and looking down almost gently said, "Have you ever seen a bear dance?" The trainer was silent. "Oh, right, of course you have. A wonderful act, especially when you don't know how bears are trained for it." The impresario turned to me. I nodded. From the center of the arena, to the sound of machinery, a round metal platform began to rise. I stepped forward, addressing the audience. Dear spectators, perhaps not all of you. You know this. A metal sheet built into the floor or set up as a temporary surface is used in circus training. Underneath is gas or electric heating, sometimes just a fire. But its purpose is always the same. Animals are taught to dance. It's used not during performances, only in training. The bear is placed with its paws directly on the heated metal. It is forced to shift its paws, jerking from the pain of burning, and at that moment, the trainer shouts, Dance, dance, again and again. This pain becomes a command, and when there is no plate on stage, the bear will dance out of fear, out of habit, even if there's no more heat beneath him. I finished and turned to the trainer. He heard everything. His face turned pale. The impresario smiled. "It's time to show our dear audience this act," he said, giving me a signal. We led the trainer to the center of the arena, where the metal platform was already heating up, and around it a cage was lowered. It looked like a trap for an animal, a narrow cage with no way out, only one open door. The assistants lifted the trainer and placed him inside, barefoot on the metal. Then they closed the cage. He screamed as soon as his skin felt the heat. But that was just the beginning. The platform heated up very slowly. "Now you're the bear, and it's time to dance," said the impresario. "No, please, no," the trainer screamed. He writhed, tried to leave, but the cage was on all sides. He couldn't step off the plate. Circus bears find themselves in the same situation. He screamed louder as the heat turned to burning and began to shift from foot to foot. "Look at that, you're dancing wonderfully," said the impresario. "Let's have some lively music." "Enough! You're just insane," the trainer screamed. The impresario came closer and said, "No, trainer, we're just a mirror." "But I'm a person," he cried, his voice nearly hysterical. "I'm not an animal. I don't deserve this because I'm a person." The impresario sighed. "You love to repeat that." He slowly circled the trainer. "But let me tell you something simple, my dear. When a bear dances on a hot plate, it doesn't feel like an animal. It feels only like a victim. It hurts. It hurts a lot." The trainer began to jump more actively, shifting his feet, sobbing. "Dance, bear. You did this to them yourself, remember?" said the impresario. I didn't want to. It was just a show." The trainer wailed. "No one wants to. Not the bears. Not you," said the impresario. When the trainer collapsed to his knees, we immediately pulled him off the platform. On the floor, he curled up, whimpering. I looked at him and thought, now you truly understand how bad it was for those animals. The impresario turned to the audience. "Remember, no bear dances out of happiness, out of a desire to dance, or out of joy. He dances out of fear and pain endured." The hall responded with applause, not of delight, but of agreement. Time for the next trick, ladies and gentlemen. Trick number 3, balance. The impresario walked across the arena, as always, slowly and confidently. He stopped by the trainer, who lay curled up on the floor. "We're not as cruel as you, so we put something cold on your feet. Let them rest a bit. Now, let's deal with your hands," said the impresario. I stepped forward, facing the audience. "The next trick is a favorite of trainers, especially with large animals. Now we'll show you how elephants are made to stand on their front legs. It looks beautiful, almost graceful. But in reality, it's hell for elephants. An elephant is a very heavy animal. Its body is not made to stand on its front legs. When forced to do this, it suffers severe back pain. Its joints barely hold, and the pain increases. Sometimes they fall, and that's new pain. But they're lifted again and again, forced to do it until they obey and learn. That's how training works, through pain, through fear. When I finished, a construction was rolled to the center of the arena, 2 metal stands with a crossbar between them, like a low horizontal bar. In the center of the bar hung leg cuffs. He would be suspended by his legs, forced to balance and stand on his hands. For the trainer, we made it harder by putting a heavy vest on him to simulate the conditions for an elephant. It should be very hard for him. If he falls, he'll hit his head. The impresario looked at him. "Time to take the same pose you made elephants take." The trainer began to scream, You're crazy." With the assistance, we lifted the trainer. He tried to resist, but was weak. His legs were fastened to the bar. He hung upside down, hands touching the floor, forced to support his weight. Within a minute, he began to suffocate, his whole body squeezed, blood pulsing in his head, temples pounding, his face flushed with heat. The impresario took a leash and attached it to the shock collar on his neck. "There you go, good boy." He pulled the trainer after him. "Let's go. Let's show the audience what a real circus looks like." The trainer crawled in a circle, shuffling his knees, breathing heavily. The impresario gave a command. The trainer didn't respond. The impresario stopped. A long pause, a whip crack, and he immediately barked once, then again, hoarsely and desperately. The impresario nodded at me. I took a piece of fries, tossed it on the floor in front of the trainer. "Good boy, eat." He looked at the food like a hungry dog, hesitated, then crawled over and ate it right off the floor. No hands. The impresario spread his arms. "That's it. One trick, one little piece." The impresario slowly led the trainer in a circle. It's easier with a dog than a lion. That's why we saved this act for last. Simple, spectacular, easy. He looked at the hall. A dog doesn't need to be broken, just kept hungry and taught to fear. But bears, tigers, Elephants, their minds are broken completely through pain, through fear. He tugged the leash. The trainer stumbled and fell face down. Lie down. He lay pressed to the floor. Now whimper. A long pause. Whimper, the impresario repeated, a little louder. The whip froze in the air, and only then did the trainer begin a low, pitiful sound. Give me your paw. The trainer extended a trembling hand. Spin. He turned and crawled in a circle. Sit, jump, bow. Each command, a piece of food on the floor. He no longer refused, just obeyed mechanically, with empty eyes. I stepped onto the stage to address the audience. You probably thought, a dog. That's not scary. Dogs are easy to train. And you're right, dogs really do learn quickly. They're smart, loyal, and ready to work for a treat if they feel love and trust. Normal training is a partnership. The dog does the command and gets a treat, affection, praise. It's friendship, it's play. Good owners do this with their dogs. But in the circus, it's different. Here, dogs are often trained another way. Hunger, harsh voice, choke collar, shock, whip, and no affection, only fear. These dogs don't want to play. They're just afraid to refuse. They're not interested in performing. They're afraid to die of hunger. And now you see, even with the most loyal animal, the circus doesn't treat it humanely. And with bears, tigers, elephants, monkeys, think for yourselves. The impresario came right up to the trainer. So, what are you now? A trainer or the trained? Silence in response. He was silent, so he understood. The whole hall applauded with understanding. Each of them knew the truth. The impresario stood in the center of the arena and said, "That was the last act. Everything you saw here, dear guests, is only a small part of what trainers do to animals every day." He slowly stepped aside, and then I stepped onto the arena again. Real circus training is not a show. It's torture. It doesn't happen in the arena, but behind the scenes, in enclosures, on concrete floors, at night. Many wonder why there are so few photos and videos showing real animal training in the circus, why these images are hidden from the public. The reason is simple and sad. They're not filmed because it's forbidden. Those who film lose their jobs or are threatened. Such videos are deleted from platforms under the pretext of cruel content. Circuses strictly prohibit filming rehearsals, training, and backstage. Employees sign non-disclosure agreements. If animal rights activists make secret recordings. They are scared, harassed, and threatened. But the truth exists, and it's found. Some organizations publish secret videos showing how animals are broken. These materials are horrifying and little known. They're not promoted, and people don't want to see them. Lions, elephants, bears, monkeys, dogs, they're not trained. They're broken. Every smile in the arena is learned through pain. Every trick is a reaction to fear. And then these animals die in cages, without a name, without applause, without a bow. From the side entrance, 2 of our guards come out. They take the trainer by the arms. He doesn't resist. He's already trained. The impresario slowly removes the collar from him, throws it on the ground. You knew what you were doing. Now you know how it feels, the impresario said at last. The trainer is led away into the shadows, where only we know. The impresario looks at the audience and says, everyone who beat an animal for applause will get their turn in our arena. He turns and leaves, the whip behind him, footsteps even and confident. Finally, I stand in the center. The most terrifying act in the circus isn't in the arena. It happens behind the scenes, and you pay for it when you buy a ticket to a circus show. Curtain, darkness. Now you know. The rest is your choice.